One day, a young, dark-complexioned fellow came in to apply for a driver's license. After making out the application, I directed him to the driver examiner's office in the basement, where he would be given the full test. After the exam, the applicant would return to our office for his temporary license, provided he'd pass. This time, as I was making out the young man's temporary license, I noticed the examiner had accompanied him and stood to one side and waited until the fellow had left. I could sense the examiner wanted to talk, so I looked up. "Them Mexicans sure am dumb," he informed me. "Why?" I asked, surprised. "He passed the exam, didn't he?" "Well, yeah," he explained. "But would you believe it? He didn't know what a Presbyterian was." A Presbyterian? I was astounded and bewildered. But why on earth? What has a Presbyterian to do with a driver's exam? What do you mean a Presbyterian? I stuttered. I could see his opinion of my intelligence go way down. "A Presbyterian," he informed me in a very condescending voice, "you know, is them people what walks across the street." The next week went by, and I dreaded Elva Jane's leaving. She and I both worried about Opa's peck, peck, peck with two fingers at the typewriter. She confided in me, "You better let him take the front desk, and you do the typing. He'll get so far behind with those deeds that he'll never catch up." "But he hates the front desk," I told her. "I can see he's getting frustrated and worried with all these deeds and papers piling up." Driving home that evening, he voiced his frustration. "I should never have run for this office. It's a stinking job. Do you know, Edna, that we don't get any vacation? I'll never get out to see our daughter in Washington and the grandchildren there. And I'll probably die in that office. It's the only job I can see ahead of me. There's no work for an architect up here, and probably never will be." "Oh, Father," I tried to sound assuring, "don't worry. Things will ease off, and come spring, I should get the hang of all of this. I'm sure I could handle the office for a couple of weeks by myself." It didn't sound like much. I felt sure, to a man who had been as independent and successful as he had been. The following Monday came, and with it a driving blizzard. We had a 20-mile drive from home to Breckenridge. This day the wind and snow blew so hard across the gold dredging fields that we had to stop often and scrape the freezing snow off the windshield of the old Ford. It was to be our first day alone in the office. It seemed so bleak not to have Elva Jane there to greet us. There was a ski club meeting that evening at the high school, so I told Opa to go home at 5. I'd finish up the accounting of receipts and cash, which was always done after locking the door. Also, I thought I could get at the typing and maybe make a dent in the pile of deeds. "I can get a ride home with Edna and Earl, who'll be at the meeting. Drive carefully in this storm, and don't forget to pick up the groceries that Oma wants from Dylan." The ski club meeting lasted longer than I'd thought. The next morning, my day to drive, I pulled up in front of Oma and Opa's house. No one came out. I was in a hurry, being a bit later than usual, having to get the kids ready for school, packing their lunches and mine and Max's, and piling the kids into the car had taken longer than usual. I finally rushed into the house and was met by Oma. "Shh," she shushed me. "Father sort of collapsed last night. Don't know what's wrong. He complains of feeling sick to his stomach, so I made him stay in bed today." "Oh, Edna," she was close to tears, "I'm afraid this job is too much for him. He's so worried he can't handle it, since he can't type, you know. But we need the money. It's not much, but it'll buy the groceries and pay the bills. Things'll work out, I'm sure of it. I tried to comfort her. Running back to the car in a hurry to get the kids to school and myself to work, I knew I wasn't sure of it, or anything much else. Opa remained at home and seemed to improve the next few days. I'll be able to be on deck next Monday, he told me on Friday evening. I told him that the week had been a quiet one. Elva Jane had dropped in often to help. On Saturday morning, I drove Sonny and Rolf down to Oma, since I'd have to work until noon, and Max would be up at the basin teaching skiing. After balancing the accounts and catching up with the mail, I knew it would be mid-afternoon before I'd get home. I opened the office door hurriedly because I could hear the phone ring. It kept ringing. Okay, I'm coming. Probably someone for another lien search, I thought. But it was Max. Edna, I'm calling for Mother's. I knew before he told me. Father just died. Oh, God! Oh, poor Opa! I started to cry. Elva Jane, the treasurer, and the sheriff were standing in the doorway in shocked silence. After a moment, Elva Jane came into the office. We're closing the office, Edna. You go right home. The courthouse was closed through Tuesday, the day of the funeral, in honor of Father. We never knew we had so many friends. People came to the house with hot casseroles and other food. They would stay with Mother, telling her what a fine man they thought of Father. It helped so much. This was a custom we had not known existed, and certainly was not practiced back east. They even brought alcoholic beverages and made us sit down and have a nip with them. All their friendship and kindness gave us the sustenance we needed. Wednesday morning, I slowly walked up the front steps of the courthouse. It had been just 2 weeks ago that Father and I had both entered together. Elva Jane was waiting for me to open the door. What do I do now? I felt too dejected to think about it. I'm neither fish nor fowl. I'm not even a deputy, only acting until Opa's position would be filled by appointment by the county commissioners. Well, Elva Jane told me in a matter-of-fact way, next Monday is the commissioners' meeting, and they will have to appoint a new county clerk. Since there are 3 commissioners, 2 of them are Democrats, no doubt a Democrat will be appointed. Your father-in-law won as a Republican, but the commissioners don't have to take that into consideration, you know. I didn't feel much of anything, except sorry for Father and all the work he put into running for this office. By the way, I told Elva Jane, Opa's insurance, even after he borrowed on it, will leave Oma with a comfortable $9,000. Somehow Max and I will make out. Maybe I could try teaching skiing, too. Cleaning out Opa's drawer, I found a small pen and ink drawing. It was of himself, seated on a high stool at a desk, peering under an eye shade at a big book spread out in front. Somehow it looked like a sketch out of Charles Dickens' book. I remembered his lovely architect's office in Cleveland, having lunch with him in the elegant private athletic club, and meeting with his colleagues. I remembered his last words to me. This is a stinking job. He'd ask his fellow citizens to vote for him. I knew he would never have quit or given up.